Everyone, thanks for taking the time to watch my video for this week's assignment. I'm really curious to see what you guys also have to say about some of the questions that we were presented. So to dive right in, I think like a lot of you, probably most of you probably joined the American College of Healthcare Executives. During our orientation, I felt like there was a underlying suggestion that we all kind of get engaged with that professional organization. And so recently I did join the American College of Healthcare Executives, and for the purposes of really understanding what's going on in the industry, um, to better hopefully apply some of those practices into my workspace. I think it's a great opportunity to connect with professionals, and for us as students, hopefully we can learn something from what's being presented by that organization and really monitor what is going on in the industry as a whole. Another organization that I've been a participant in, and past member and current member again in, is the National Association of Emergency Medical Technicians. I think the name speaks for itself. This organization really focuses on emergency medicine, and is aligned specifically with paramedics and emergency medical technicians and providing a lot of good information and insight as far as where the industry is at and where the industry may be going. I know during COVID, I leveraged this website, and this membership specifically, to get a lot of resources to help my organization respond to the pandemic and to make sure that we're doing it in a way that is the best practice for managing the dynamic situation that was this super infectious disease, and working through that. So for me, those two organizations I felt like I should be a part of. I really am continuing to look for more and have been told about a few other ones, but I'm curious to see what you guys post as well. As a leader, for me, networking is important, but I feel like I do a lot of informal networking, and it's done organically. And what I mean by that is through collaboration, in working on similar projects or projects that require collaboration, I form relationships. During this hurricane, for example, we spend a lot of time working with other agencies that do very different jobs in order to make sure that we're successful. And that's everything from power companies to utilities to fire rescue, hazmat, and human needs focused individuals. That network, and forming those relationships during the past week have really been helpful. And for me to expand my network, I guess that's been a benefit provided by this hurricane, if that makes sense. Some more formal network that I do, or networking that I do, is done through attending conventions and seminars. When I have the opportunity to get into, or to travel to conventions or seminars, I try to do so. I'm more of an introvert though, so I feel like the formal way of networking is just more of a challenge for me. So I prefer more informal networking if possible. But I do attend those meetings, those seminars, those conventions, and do get some network with peers and colleagues, and form some relationships there. And then lastly, I think a lot of us are on LinkedIn. I feel like that's another way that we can connect with individuals that are working in the same work areas that we may be in. I know that I've asked a lot of questions of individuals that I've connected with on LinkedIn, and I've provided some connectivity, hopefully, to them as well too. In regards to managing conflict, I think for me and my organization and where I work, I try to do it in a way that's as quick as possible, but also understanding that it can be done too quick, and can have some negative consequences when that happens. So what I mean by that is I try to handle the conflict um, quickly, but also understanding that people may need space and time to make sure they're in the right mindset and not too emotionally charged to have the conversation about the conflict. The time and space in which you manage conflicts is important. I feel like the environment is important as well. So when I manage conflict, I try to do it in an environment that is kind of on equal ground or equal turf. So maybe outside the office, away from other individuals, so that there's no threat of it being impacted by another individual happening upon the conflict or conversation, or someone maybe feel threatened or not feel totally comfortable talking about the conflict, um, should there be other people around. When I manage conflict too, I think that allowing the person to provide their perspective first allows me to hear their side of it, and it also gives them um, the idea that their position matters to me, and I think that's important as well too. So once I kind of allow them to breathe, and give their side of the conflict, I can then digest it and then give my side of the conflict and perspective to hopefully find some common ground. I avoid trying to use anything that isn't in person or on the phone. I don't manage conflict via email or text. I think that's just going to compound an issue of conflict. But I do really try to do conflict management in person. My workplace does sometimes provide a challenge or present a challenge to managing conflict in person. We work remotely, and our workspace is constantly moving and at 20 different locations within our county. So for me, sometimes conflict management does have to be on phone, but I really try to make sure that I'm trying to do conflict management in person when I can. Uh, as it relates to the areas of competencies that were described in the book that I feel like I've developed the most, I feel like that would be the knowledge of healthcare. I think working in healthcare for almost 18 years now has given me an opportunity to really see a lot of how healthcare, is navigated, and understanding everyone's role in it. And then I also think, because I worked in healthcare for 18 years as well, understanding the importance of creating a teamwork environment, I feel like is a spot where I've excelled. Where I know I'm challenged is anticipating or um, planning for promoting change in the organization. I have a bad habit of getting kind of stuck in the day to day and managing my space or my responsibilities um, in the moment, and not thinking distantly or for the future. And I know that for me to be a successful leader in any healthcare organization, including the one that I'm in now, I'll need to make time to sit down, really think for the future of our organization, to make sure that we're moving in the right path and prepared for anything that may come.